Hey, you're hanging out in the Link Up Lounge. I'm Tiffany Mason.
And I'm Donna Ruppel. Around here, we believe success isn't just about what you know, it's about who you link up with. This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Donna, it blows my mind that the two of us have over 30 years of combined networking experience.
I know. We've built businesses, expanded networks, and created unstoppable momentum, all through the power of strategic connections.
AKA networking. And now we're here to guide you to do the same, starting today.
So let's dive in, connect, and start making moves you didn't even know were possible. Welcome back to the Link Up Lounge. I'm Donna Ruppel, your Nocti real estate expert, and I'm here with my co-host Tiffany Mason of Virtually You, the boutique podcast management agency.
This is your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities. And today, we're talking about a question that a lot of people have probably wondered about, especially when it comes to building relationships in business. Who actually wins at networking in 2026? Introverts or extroverts? For years, extroverts have been seen as natural winners in networking because they tend to be more outgoing, more talkative, and more comfortable in social spaces. But networking has changed. And today, we're looking into whether introverts may actually have an edge in the way connection works now.
And we're especially excited about this conversation because we are joined by a self-identified introvert who can speak from personal experience. And we want to hear what networking really feels like from her perspective, what works, what doesn't, and whether introverts have been underestimated all along. So today we are joined by Jennifer Falkenberry, the owner of Artistic Ways by Sassy J. Jennifer, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Hi there, and thank you so much for having me on this podcast today. So I am, again, Jennifer Falkenberry, the owner of Artistic Ways by Sassy J. It was a paint party business that started just mobile, but now I do all kinds of crafts, paint parties, and I have my own space. So I'm mobile, and I have a space that we can create.
I love that so much. It's so fun. We've had a couple of our micro community, if you guys remember from last episode, we've had some of our micro community meetings there, and we've had a lot of fun. So I'm excited about the conversation today because I am the truest sense of extrovert. So I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit. A lot of people still picture networking as working the room, making fast conversations, and being the most visible person in the space. That image tends to favor extroverts because it looks like confidence, energy, and quick connection. But in reality, networking is changing. It's becoming more about trust, intention, consistency, and meaningful follow-up. And those qualities are not limited to the loudest person in the room.
Exactly. And that is why this conversation matters. And we're so excited to have Jennifer here because there are so many people who assume that they're bad at networking because they're quieter or more reserved or shy or more selective about how they connect. But maybe the issue isn't necessarily that they're bad at networking. Maybe they've just been measuring themselves against the wrong model. In 2026, that model may not even be the most effective one anymore.
So, Jennifer, let's start with you. When you hear the word networking, what comes to mind immediately for you? I also want to know, what is your visceral reaction? Do you immediately, I assume that introverts are immediately freaking out, but maybe that's not true. Maybe there's a different dialogue going on in your head. So, and do you think that the definition of networking for you has changed over time?
That's a great question. So for me, yes, I think my blood pressure goes up a little bit when I hear about networking. Although, I'm owner of a business, so I have to be somewhat of an extrovert at times, but I also like to be that introvert as well. So for me, it's not trying to be the biggest person in the room when I go networking, right? Because that's not my style. But for me, it's more about making the connections with a smaller group of people and then making sure that I follow up. So it's more of a deeper connection, not just small talk and following through.
Yeah. So just to follow up on that, when you look at a networking event, do you look at, is this going to be a big group of people in a large room, or is this going to be a smaller group of people in a more intimate setting? And does that make a difference to you?
I don't think it really makes much of a difference. I guess if I was going into it knowing, okay, this is a small group, I would still kind of be a little bit, I would say, hesitant in some way. Okay, how am I going to act? What am I going to say? What am I going to wear? How am I going to fit in? Those are the kind of things that go through my head as I don't know. I don't know if I'm really a true introvert. I'm more of an ambivert, but ambiverts have both the extrovert and the
What?
introvert things.
Okay, guys, it's vocabulary time. Ding, ding, ding. Jennifer, what is the word of the day? What is this?
Ambivert.
Ambivert? Okay,
Ambivert. So
tell me more.
has both extrovert tendencies and introvert tendencies. So, like I said, since I have my paint party business, I have to be the life of the room because people are looking at me. I have to be on, let's say, on all the time, right? But then when I'm done, I am done. I want my quiet time. I have to re-energize, and I re-energize by, just the quiet and stillness. So, yeah, that's your new word, ambivert. And actually is a thing because I just
Okay.
research it.
Wow,
I think
look
my
at
daughter's
us.
like that too, because she can be the like energy in a room, but the second everybody's gone, she's like, okay, now it's alone time. Don't talk to me. And so, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I do think that as a owner of a business, regardless of your personality, you have to have that ability to pull out, the extrovert part of you. So I understand what you're saying. And then it's a matter of when you're done with that, are you energized like I am? Like after I'm done with people, I'm super energized and I'm blah, blah, blah. Introverts are what did you call it? Ambiverts?
Ambivert.
Ambivert.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like they reset in a quiet, alone space.
I remember after one of our events coming home, and my husband had been at the event as well. And he is definitely an ambivert, more of an introvert. When we came home, I was like, I could like go run a 5K right now. I could like, you just like go do all kinds of crazy things. I want to go to like the club. I want to go dancing. I want to like do all kinds of things. And my husband was on the couch like, I want to be right here. And you go do any of that away from me. So, yes, I am energized.
Let's be fair to extroverts for a moment, because on the surface, they do seem built for networking, right? They're often more comfortable starting conversations, introducing themselves, moving through a room without much hesitation. That can be a real advantage, especially in environments where first impressions happen quickly, like those massively large rooms with a whole bunch of people passing business cards.
And extroverts tend to bring a lot of visible energy into the conversation and can make them a little bit more memorable. In fast paced networking settings, though, that confidence can open doors quickly because people notice them right away. There's a reason extroverts have traditionally been seen as natural winners in this space. And I think that I've always associated being an extrovert with confidence. But like Jennifer, I'd say you're a very confident person. My husband, incredibly confident. So I think that that also has changed for me over time, being more in the networking space and meeting different personality types. I've really gained respect for an introvert. Like, oh, this is not somebody that is shy and like, oh, poor me, I'm going to hide out in the corner. No, it's more like, okay, so this kind of leads me to another question that I was thinking of. Is it more like you guys, do you need somebody to approach you? Or in your ambivert status, do you feel comfortable approaching other people? What would you say is kind of the strategy there?
I always feel more comfortable when somebody approaches me. It
Yeah.
just makes it much easier because if I go in a room and I'm just kind of standing there, I'll tend to gravitate towards somebody that kind of reminds me of me in a way. Somebody that it's not really that we're scared to talk to people. We just don't know how to start the conversation. And, you got that thing in the back of your mind. What are people going to think? And I think I need to just quit that stinking thinking and just be me. So,
Have you heard what other people think of you is none of your business?
yes, I have, but,
Yeah.
it's always in the back of my mind.
Sure, sure.
But, yeah, so I just tend to if I have to start a conversation, I will look for somebody looks alone or something, or just not alone, but just kinda
That's actually my strategy is I look for somebody opposite of me. So if I see somebody kind of like going inward, I'm like, okay, this person, I just got to pull them out of their shell. I just got to go start the conversation with them. So I feel like, I don't know, I kind of feel like that's like my role in the room is like, who needs to be pulled into the room? That's always, I really am always looking for that person.
Yep. Now, if I was the one that was actually putting on the networking event or something, of course, I would be
Sure.
on, and that's okay. I'm gonna make everybody feel comfortable. I'm gonna have a conversation with everybody, but that's just the role that I would have to play, and I'm okay with
And
making that.
I think that you played a dirty trick on us because at your studio, you had amazing cookies. Y'all, I don't think these were even like name brand or like anything crazy. Like they were just like some little gem that she has found. So if you go do a craft party at her studio, you probably are going to have these amazing cookies. And that started a conversation and got us going too, I thought.
Yeah. No, those were just Walmart cookies.
Okay, well, I mean, don't give away your secret.
Right? Maybe it's your special Walmart.
Okay, so Jennifer, where do you think the advantage starts to fall short? Because sometimes making that quick connection is one thing, but turning that into a meaningful relationship is something very different. I think introverts are more interested in the long term relationship. I am as well, but I know I am vibing off of that quick fix of like, I'm sucking everybody's energy one conversation at a time. And my, and my barometer is like, so what do you think is the advantage for introverts and possibly relationships?
I just think that introverts, when they do have those meaningful conversations, I think they tend to last, and those could possibly build into more of a friendship over time.
Mm,
Or, a better, I would say friendship, yes, but also more of, I'm gonna keep that person in the back of my mind when I hear somebody talking, oh, I need this person. And since I had that meaningful conversation, that's gonna be the person I'm gonna tend to refer to them. Not just somebody that's, sometimes some of these extroverts, I'm gonna try and say this without being
It's okay,
don't
Jennifer.
offend Donna and I.
You
Don't
can just
offend
say
us.
it.
mortgage people or those kind of people. Sometimes I think they're just looking to say, okay, do you need a mortgage? Do you need a mortgage? And they're just trying to find those people who do need a mortgage. So if you say no, they're going to just automatically turn off their brain and think, okay, that's not the person for me. I need to find somebody else. But
Mm.
I'm thinking as an introvert, I'm going to be looking for people that I can help refer to other businesses or other people because I'm not just focusing on that one line of work. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it totally does because we did a previous episode about what we like to deem as takers. Okay. And we feel like takers are generally found in larger groups because in the smaller, more intimate micro communities, they're kind of ferreted out rather quickly. I feel like in those larger rooms, the takers can thrive better because they can go around and do exactly what you just described. They can be like, hey, my name is so and so. Do you need a mortgage? And if you don't, they move on to the next person until they find that one or two, whatever people in that room. And then they can work with them. And then they may not ever come back to that event again. Who knows? But the quote unquote taker that we've talked about before is somebody who is literally looking to just sell themselves and they're not interested in making a relationship or a long term connection. So I find it fascinating that as an introvert, it's like you pick up on that super quick, maybe quicker than an extrovert, because it feels like introverts may not always be the first to speak, but they often sort of listen more carefully, think more deeply, observe a little better because they're receiving before they're putting out, is how I would say. Like extroverts are just loud and out there and excited to be there and so maybe we're a little less observant. We may not notice the taker as quickly as an introvert.
I agree. I'm actually jealous of that with an introvert, that they're a lot more like analytical. Like they are
Mhm.
more intentional, more this is not the right word, but calculated is what comes to my mind. Whereas I'm just like anybody and everybody and like let's talk and let's all the things. Whereas like I feel like an introvert is so much more calculated, intentional, you know, wise. Jennifer's like,
Yeah.
yes. She's nodding her head. Yes, I agree with this.
Yes,
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 absolutely.
yes, I am. Yes. And those qualities create a very different kind of connection, one that feels a little more intentional, a little more memorable over time, which is what you said, Jennifer. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
that makes a
I
lot
mean,
of
in
sense.
today's networking world, people are craving authenticity. I often hear that from people. I mean, they're always like, Tiffany, you're so refreshing. You're so authentic. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just saying that really does seem to be a true statement that people are connecting with authenticity and they want conversations that feel real and not rushed. And I think an introvert gives us that. And they also feel heard, not just pitched, exactly again what Jennifer was saying. And introverts often bring that naturality because they're less focused on performing and they're more focused on understanding the person in front of them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just so much truth being spoken there.
Right. So, Jennifer, do you think introverts have strengths in networking that people often overlook? And what do you think introverts bring into a room that extroverts sometimes don't?
Well, I think introverts kind of bring calmness to the room. So if you have a bunch of room of just extroverts just running around going crazy, it can kind of be overwhelming sometimes, So I think the introverts kind of help tone it down a little bit. Um,
So wait, how does this interview feel right now as Donna and I are full of energy coming at you? I feel like you're being assaulted with energy. Are you okay, Jennifer?
Good, I'm good. Yes. No, I'm good. But I do think introverts, they do tend to, kind of calm down things. Cause, it's always good to have, like, you have a best friend who's like really wild and crazy. And then you have the one friend who's, okay, let's think about this before we just go and do that. Let's think about the consequences kind of a thing. Right. So I think it's always good to have a mixture of both because then that makes you kind of even in the middle. And so I think that does work in the networking field, as well, because you do have the loud, boisterous ones, and those are needed. You need those people because if not, you're going to have a room full of just introverts. Like, going, okay, this is pretty cool. What are we going to do now? So it's good mixture of both. And I do think that introverts do bring a lot to the table because they do have those meaningful connections with people when they meet the person that they feel like they can connect with. But also, I think it helps bring them out of their shell a little bit more too. It's like, okay, I need to get out of my head and just enjoy the moment. I think that's an important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there ever a moment that you actually realized, like, I do not have to act like an extrovert in order to be effective? Like, I think that realization could be so powerful to the listeners. I know, like, I watch my husband and I'm like, okay, so maybe be a little bit more intentional in who I'm approaching by watching him. Do you feel like there's somebody that you pulled a little bit from, like, that person was really good at welcoming people. I'm gonna do that. Okay, this person was really good at, like, setting the atmosphere, so I'm gonna she did pick really great music, you guys. I Shazammed a couple songs, and they were not every song that you hear all the time, and it wasn't just one genre. So it was like a musical party for my ears, which I really appreciated. But is any of that ringing a bell maybe where you realize, like, "Oh, I pulled this from that person, that person." You don't have to name names, just was there, is that sparking any memory for you?
Um, I think the person I get most jealous of are the people that remember people's names. I am terrible at remembering people's names. And so when somebody can meet somebody and they can remember their name, I mean, I'm amazed by that. And I tried to mimic that, but I suck at it. And
Me too, Jennifer.
unless it's somebody that I can relate to, like, oh, like, I met somebody at an event this weekend and it was a little old lady. She was really super sweet. And I heard her name was Shirley. And I'm like, oh, Shirley, that was my grandma's name. So I knew her. I knew her name. I could relate it. I'm good. But I just have sometimes my brain is just going so fast that I
Mhm.
don't have the ability to sit there and process, okay, how can I remember that person's name?
Yeah.
Well, I use the 2 techniques that everybody says to use, and I would pride myself in remembering people's names, and I say it, like, if I just meet somebody, I say it 2 or 3 times immediately, and if I don't, forget it, I'm not gonna remember this person's name, and then I do try to do an association,
Hmm.
like, I don't know, Shirley, Laverne and Shirley. I never watched that show. I don't know who Laverne and Shirley is, but I know that's Shirley. Like, I would do something like that in my head.
Good.
So, quick little
Well,
tip
I will
for our
say
networkers.
that I am not good at that either. And I think it's because I am in my extrovert way, buzzing around and not really probably listening like I should. Because the second they introduce themselves, I'm like, I have no idea what their name is. It's terrible. It's not something I like at all. But that is why, Jennifer, I will always have name tags at events because when I see the name in print, it goes a long way sticking in my head. So I am a huge fan of name tags at all of our networking
Every
things.
Bond and Beyond event, name tags.
Yes.
Donna always reaches out. Tiffany, you got name tags, right?
Yeah, because there's no way I could
Yeah,
do
girl.
a networking event without people wearing name tags. My
Yeah.
lord. Yeah.
Well, and you're not the only one, so it's probably a comfort for everybody.
Yeah.
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 Like, I'm doing a retreat next week and everybody's going to have their own apron with their name on it because even though I may know their name, my brain will go blank and I'm like, but it'll make my job much easier.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I saw on Facebook that you still have a spot open for that retreat. So do you want to tell us a little bit about it? And then if somebody's listening, they can grab their ticket and be the last person to join you all?
Yes, so that's a very exciting time for me. I do have a 3-day retreat coming up. It's going to be April 10th through the 13th. It's going to be held in St. Augustine area. I rent this really beautiful Airbnb. It's on like 2 acres of land. It's got a beautiful outdoor space. The whole weekend is just all about being creative. So we're going to be doing all different kinds of art projects, craft projects. We'll have wine tasting. We'll have a guest speaker come out. And it's just a way to
Sounds
connect.
dreamy.
I
Yes,
know,
it is
right?
so dreamy. I created a space that wasn't out there because I wanted to go do something like this and there wasn't one. So I created
Mm,
it. And so
yeah.
kept that in mind. We have one of my friends is coming, is going to be doing all the cooking. So we don't have to worry about doing dishes or cleaning or anything to take care of for us.
Donna, you
So
want a ticket for the 10th to the
Yeah, I was going to
13th?
say,
She
sign me
hates
up.
cooking.
3 days of not cooking, I'm there.
So it's just a time for us to just, women to just relax, be creative, get to meet other people and just step away from your everyday life and just enjoy life for a while.
It's awesome. It does sound dreamy. Yes, I love being creative. I love not cooking. I love just having a weekend to myself and only worry about myself. So it sounds like a dream. We are going to put the link to that in the show notes. So if you want to grab that, it is coming up the 10th through the 13th
So
and
don't
only
wait.
has one spot left. So if that sounds dreamy to you, jump on that.
Yep. Okay, so let's get to the big question. Who actually wins at networking in 2026? Because the answer may not be as simple as introverts versus extroverts. It may be ambiverts. It may come down to how networking itself has changed. Today, people are building relationships in smaller groups, online communities, follow up conversations, voice notes, DMs, and more intentional spaces. And that can level the playing field in a major way.
Yeah, it's no longer about who can command a room. It's about who can build trust, right? Stay consistent and create a connection that lasts beyond the first conversation. In that kind of environment, introverts may actually have more room to thrive. So here's the real question. If you had to answer honestly, Jennifer, who do you think wins at networking in 2026? Introverts or extroverts?
I would have to say probably both. And even the ambiverts, they may have a little bit more of a step up.
I think they have the edge.
Yes, because they can be flexible. That's one thing that ambiverts can be. They can be very flexible. So if they have somebody who's more introverted, they can act more introverted. If they have somebody who's more extroverted, they can also match that tone as well. So I think being flexible is very important when you go into these networking events because you can read the room. So when you can read the room and you can see what kind of personalities you have, I think you're in a better field, better
That brings
area.
up a good point. I think you guys can read the room, and I think extroverts read the vibe, right? Like we're gonna figure out the energy, and we're gonna decide, okay, do we need to amp it up a couple of notches, or are we gonna match the group and kind of come down a couple of notches? But I think the more valuable skill is probably the introverts being able to read the room. Like, who do I want to connect with? Let me take a step back. Let me pause for a second. Where extroverts are like, we just jumping right in, losing our brains.
Yeah.
Ah!
You need that because you want the room to feel energized. You want people to feel welcome. You want them to be there, right? So you don't want to walk into a room and everybody's just sitting around like you're at a school dance. You're at a school dance and you're sides and nobody's talking. You don't want that at a networking event. You want where everybody's going to be mingling, talking, having fun. And it's okay to have introverts, extroverts, ambiverts. It's okay to have all those people in one place. That's what the networking is all about.
Yeah, that is such a strong perspective. I mean, it shows that success in networking may have less to do with who talks the most and more to do with, how the connections are made in the room. And the energy of the room matters for people, but the connection, I think, is the most important part of it.
Okay, Jennifer, for the introverts listening right now who still feel awkward about networking, what would you want them to hear? What do you think they need to stop believing about themselves to help them network better?
I think they need to stop the stinking thinking because I think enemy is our stinking thinking. I think they just need to go in with an open mind and then look for those people that you want to connect with. I think that's the most important thing. And I will say this, I think out of all the networking events that I've been to so far with you guys, the one I enjoyed the most was the speed networking one. Because
Interesting.
because I knew I was going to go meet all these different types of people and I didn't have a choice. I just had to go do it. So there's no thinking, who am I going to talk to? That took all the guesswork out of it. So, you got to go to each different person. And I really enjoyed that the most. I was exhausted afterwards because that's what my introvert personality, I was peopled out, but I really enjoyed getting to talk to all those people because most of the time, if I walk into a room, there's men and women, I'm not going to talk to the men. I'm going to talk to the women.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you bring that up. I was thinking about it earlier. And I remember at the end of that, looking around at everybody, and there were about 5 people that I could identify that were exhausted. Like one more conversation with one more person, and they were just going to walk out of the room. So I actually called it a little bit early. I was going to have us go about another 2 or 3 rounds. And I was like, I don't think these people can hang. Like there were some people that I could just tell, like, I have pushed them to the limit. And I'll tell you what, I think it was after that event when I got home that I was like, I could run a 5K, I could go to the club, I could go do all kinds of things right now because I was jazzed from that event. Yeah. Yeah. And I had to walk around the room a million times and say, okay, M's move, M's move. Okay, switch speaker, switch speaker. But no, I gained a lot of energy from it. And you, my friend, were one of the 5 identified as being exhausted. And you were like, get me out of this room. And that's okay.
Yep.
So, Jennifer, what has worked best for you personally? Smaller groups, one-on-one conversations, online relationship building, follow-up messages, or something else? Like, what has worked best for you in the networking space?
I would have to say probably the smaller groups because I really enjoy getting together for our once a month meetings. I like those kind of a small groups. That's what works best for me. But I'm still not opposed to going to big groups either. So that's the other side of me that's a little bit extroverty. I do like those bigger settings.
I know that you mentioned that introverts need to stop the stinking thinking, okay? But is there one action or activity that introverts need to stop making when it comes to networking? Like, would you encourage them to start the conversation, or should they do more follow-up or challenge themselves to go into a room they think they shouldn't, that they think they're not qualified to be in? Like, what would you say?
I would say start the conversation, take that step of faith and just start the conversation. I'll say it this way. I went to a friend of mine, her mom passed away recently. So I was over to her house, celebration of life. And I didn't know anybody but my friend. And so I'm sitting around this room looking, I'm like, okay, this is pretty boring. So I just sat down on the table and there was this gentleman sitting there. And so I started talking to him like, oh, so do you live in the area? After talking to him for a few minutes, here comes his wife, which was perfectly fine. But I'm sitting there thinking, well, at least I started the conversation. And for me, that was something I would not normally do. But at
Yeah.
least I was sitting there just twiddling my thumbs. So just start the conversation. I mean, the worst thing they can do is look at you and tell you to go away. That's the worst thing.
I would say, Jennifer, has that ever happened to you? Has anybody said, just go away if you started a conversation?
No,
No. Yeah.
that's never really happened. Yeah.
You're funny. That's never really happened. I love that. So, what's one thing introverts should start doing more if they want to build stronger connections? What advice would you have there?
I would just say put yourself out there some more, Don't be in your little closet. Just get out and try to find somebody that's possibly relatable. But even if they're not relatable to you, it's okay because they may have something that may bring something to the table that you may need in your life. So take those chances and don't be so scared.
Great advice, listeners. I hope you have taken notes. Jennifer, thank you so much for letting us, pick your brain a little bit and joining us on the Link Up Lounge today.
Yeah, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. I liked giving my perspective of what it's like to be a introvert, extrovert, ambivert, a little bit of everything.
Yes, thank you so much. We learned so much. And it's always a good balance, too. You're right. I mean, that is one thing that you hit the nail on the head about. It's always a good balance to have the introverts in the room because I also am married to an introvert. And I am definitely a different level of energy when I'm with him versus when I'm not with him. And I know that the common person probably appreciates me better with my husband.
I would agree with me and Sean.
Yeah.
People probably enjoy me more when Sean's with.
I know. But Tiffany and I together are like off the charts sometimes. Yeah.
You guys would be fun to hang out with. That'd be fun.
Oh my gosh.
You're welcome anytime. Well, if networking has ever felt exhausting to you, our dear listeners, unnatural, or like a game to you that you were never taught how to play, this conversation is your reminder that there is not just one way to connect. You do not have to be the loudest person in the room to be the most effective, and you do not have to perform confidence in order to build real trust.
Yeah. And you don't have to network like an extrovert to be successful. I mean, that's the biggest point we're trying to drive home. I mean, the goal is not to become someone else. The goal is to understand your strengths and use them well, like Jennifer does, build relationships in a way that feel natural and sustainable for you. That's where real confidence really starts to grow.
So, whether you're introverted, extroverted, or somewhere in between, like our friend Jennifer, the real question is not who talks more, it's who connects better. And when connection is rooted in trust, intention, and follow through, anybody can be most powerful at networking.
Okay, so it's time for networking mode on. This week's networking mode on tips. Stop measuring your networking success by how many people you talk to. Focus instead on how well you connect, how consistently you follow up, and whether the relationship has room to grow. Networking mode on.
If this episode made you rethink networking as an introvert or extrovert, we would love to have you give us a review. Let's keep building those powerful links together.
You've been hanging out in the Link Up Lounge, your lounge for turning one link into endless opportunities.
Now it's your turn. Go make a powerful link today.
Networking mode on.